When we think of age, we often think of mechanical things like this bike or cars, maybe the tires on the cars, or this old train here. It's their chronological age that matters most. The older they get, the less useful they are until eventually they're kind of put aside. But do we think of our bodies the same way? I mean, after all, we celebrate our birthdays every year with our chronological age. When people ask how old we are, we tell them what our age is chronologically. But if you're a cyclist, you may be selling yourself short because our bodies are not like this old train. We should be thinking about water when we think about our bodies and our age. After all, our bodies are made up of more than 50% water. We have a lot more in common with water than you might think. I mean, if water stays still and doesn't move, it starts to get stagnant and unhealthy. If it keeps flowing, it keeps moving like this water is, then it stays clear and biologically healthy. When doctors and health professionals look at us and evaluate our health, they're thinking of us much more like water than they are of that old train. They have a term for it, and they call it our biological age. It's much more important when evaluating people like us and their age to understand their biological age than their chronological age. And the good news is, if you're a cyclist, in terms of biological age, you're probably a lot younger than you think. There are 4 main ingredients to biological age, and I'm going to cover them. Before I do, I want to talk a little bit about this jersey. This is a new jersey. It's a road less traveled jersey. I've tested it. I love it. I worked with Joyoneer to create it. What I like most about it, it's got some great ventilation on the side here. It's fitted well. It's got enough of a relaxed fit to fit almost anybody. It's got high visibility with the Tahoe blue, and it really speaks to the road less traveled idea of staying healthy and creating your own path. Now, there are 4 main ingredients to measuring and controlling your biological age. And scientists use these 4 things. Number 1 is the telomeres length. And the telomeres are part of your DNA, and they're the ends of your DNA. And they make a difference in terms of the structural integrity of your DNA and how old our bodies really become. Number 2 is the mitochondria. And we've talked about this before, but the mitochondria are really your sort of energy cells within your body. Number 3 is the arterial stiffness in our bodies. So this the stiffness of our arteries and our veins. It really makes a difference in how we function. And there's something important I learned about this that was surprising to me in terms of why we need to keep exercising every day. Number 4 is muscle quality. And really the type of exercise we do changes the way we build our muscles. There's a pretty graphic illustration of this. You won't be able to unsee it once you've seen it, and it'll really give you an indication of how you ought to be working your body and how you ought to be working your muscles for long-term health. So I'm going to get up out of the river here and head back to the house, and we're going to go over each one of those items. So let's go over the 4 main ingredients that determine what your biological age is and what you can do about it. The first is your DNA. And it's specifically the telomeres on the end of the chromosomes of your DNA. What are telomeres? Well, they're sort of like the end of shoelaces. They're these little pieces at the end of your chromosome that protect the cell from damage. As our cells divide, those telomeres can shorten. And as we age, cells are dividing as we grow, and those telomeres get shorter and shorter. If the telomeres get too short, then the cell itself will die. But it won't actually die. It stays in the body and it does damage to other cells and tissue around it. So it can be quite detrimental to the body and lead to aging and disease. There was a study conducted by the European Health Journal that looked at cyclists and runners who were engaged in endurance activities, and it compared them to sedentary individuals and also compared them to powerlifters. And here's the interesting thing. The endurance athletes, the cyclists and the runners, had telomeres that were twice as long as those of both the sedentary individuals and the powerlifters. So there is something unique about endurance type of activity, cycling activity, that protects the cells by keeping longer telomeres and protecting us from the potential decline in age. The second item is your mitochondria cells, and the mitochondria cells are really the power plant of our body. They're the cells that help give us energy. Healthy mitochondria cells are essential to keep us young and keep us active. A study that was significant related to mitochondria cells and cycling was a Mayo Clinic study performed less than 10 years ago. And it looked at older adults and younger adults, and specifically whether or not they incorporated high-intensity interval training in their workouts. If they did, the surprising result of it was that the HIIT training alone improved their mitochondria health by almost 70%. So the takeaway here is include HIIT training in your workout. It really does make a difference to our biological age. The third ingredient is related to our blood vessels and our arteries. As we age, particularly between the ages of 40 and 60, our arteries and our blood vessels become stiff, and they become about 50% stiff at an average adult. A study performed by the University of Colorado at Boulder that looked at men averaged age 60 who were either cyclists or power walkers found that they had arteries and blood vessels that were very similar to somebody in their 20s. But here's the surprising part. If those adults stopped exercising, even for 2 weeks, their blood vessels and their arteries hardened to their chronological age. So imagine if you're 70 years old and you're a cyclist and you've got arteries and blood vessels of somebody like they're in their 20s, which is what this study says you will have, and you stop for 2 weeks, you have a really quick reversion back to your chronological age in terms of your blood vessels. So the key here is just don't stop. And the last ingredient to our biological age, the fourth ingredient, is our muscles. Sarcopenia is the term for loss of muscle mass, and it happens as we get older. As we lose muscle mass, then we begin to lose the ability to exercise regularly, and it starts to hurt the functioning of our other organs. So we want to do everything we can to keep our muscle quality high. As cyclists, we're doing that. There's more we need to do. I did a video on this as well to sort of supplement what we get from cycling, and strength training and resistance training is important for cyclists particularly because it helps with bone health. But there's also something else that is surprising, and that is it's not just the muscle mass, it's the muscle quality. A good quality muscle is a lean muscle. It doesn't have a lot of fat in it, much like a filet mignon if you were comparing to steak grades. A bad quality muscle has fat in it. It has ribs of fat in it, like a ribeye steak. There are diagrams, I'll show one here, that shows what a difference is between a good quality lean muscle and a bad quality fatty muscle in somebody like us. Why is fat in a muscle bad? Well, it does two things. One is the fat within the muscle can disrupt our insulin signaling that happens within the muscle, and this can lead to type 2 diabetes. Number two, since there is fat in between the muscle fibers and inside the muscle fibers, it's disrupting sort of the functioning between the fibers. It prevents the growth that we want to see in the muscle. It also prevents effective repair of the muscles. The good news is it's found cyclists have good quality muscle, lean muscle mass. There was a study performed by Humboldt University that looked at older cyclists and compared them to both people of their same age that were sedentary and younger adults, and found that the older cyclists had muscles much more like the younger adults than they did sedentary individuals of the same age. So for a low biological age, be strong on the inside. You don't have to look strong on the outside. The river that runs through the town runs by this park. It was dedicated by a tribe that inhabited this area thousands of years ago. And in the park, there are these signs, and the signs have poems on it. And one of them is very pertinent to this video. Walk through snow and rain. Where does this water begin and end? Shaping earth and air, time visible in the body. What questions would you ask the river? It seems to me the early inhabitants of this area really understood the connection between water and our body. So the next time you have a birthday or somebody asks your age, maybe use your biological age, because that's what matters most, and that's what we have control of. Keep cycling, Share this video with anybody you care about. Please subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear. I'll see you next time.